I touched upon a very new development that's happening in preparation for the Corporate Transparency Act that's going to come into effect on January 1st, 2024. And it specifically has to do with banks. And I believe that the biggest risk we have as business owners and or smaller investors is going to be coming from the banks and financial institutions, but especially the banks. And if you've seen my previous content, you know that the banks are being weaponized by the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, to be their eyes and ears for possible money laundering transactions. So most of us, we don't have anything to do with money laundering. That's not the problem. The problem is that they are going about this, the federal government is going about this in a very heavy-handed, overreaching way. And there's going to be a lot of collateral damage for anybody who's stupid enough to allow themselves to comply with this horrible law. Banks are going to be our biggest problem because I don't know if you know this or not, but when you can go into an account, I'm assuming to go into a bank and you can do a transaction or just do it online, and some unknown person, if you're at the branch, it could be a teller, it could be an employee, someone, you go in the branch, you sit down and you wait for someone to bring you over to the desk, and you can do whatever you want to do with it, whatever. They're always looking, and you don't know this, but they have a thing called a suspicious activity report, SAR, a SAR report. You don't know when they do a SAR report against you, and that's the problem. And so what are they looking for? Well, and as they're prepping for the Corporate Transparency Act, they are looking for either high transaction amounts, they're looking for wires that come in from quote unquote high risk countries, and any suspicious source of funds. Okay, who determines what suspicious is, right? And then here's what I think is just outrageous. They have a phrase, and it's always some ambiguous, subjective phrase that only they can interpret, is any transaction with no apparent economic value or business purpose or lawful purpose. Again, some teller, some middling bank employee is going to be deciding whether your business transactions, which may make perfect sense to you, and they're an integral part of what you're doing in your business plan, someone like that is going to make a decision about whether there's any purpose behind it, economic, business, or other lawful purpose. And if they don't like it, if something is suspicious for them, then they're going to file a suspicious activity report, and it will go to the FBI. Here's the thing, you'll never know about it unless they come in and start freezing your accounts. That's the worry about this. Any kind of cash withdrawals. Now, you may know that you have to fill out a form if you withdraw any cash over $10,000. Well, what they're doing now in preparation for the Corporate Transparency Act is they are going to start flagging any cash transactions below $10,000 because they think, well, you're just trying to get around the law. Again, they're trying to get into your head and decide for you whether what you're doing is suspicious or not. So this is very, very disturbing, and it's only going to get worse. And as I've said in my previous videos, you may or may not have seen, the danger is now they're sending out suspicious activity reports, and not much is really happening yet. When the law starts, they're going to start freezing accounts, and the banks are going to have the authority to freeze those accounts without the FBI's approval or a court approval. They'll just pull the plug, and then you're stuck with no money, right? And because everything is under the money laundering statutes with this law, then you're considered guilty until you can prove yourself innocent. How long does that take? And let me just leave this here for you to understand how risky this is. Historically, the statistics show that only 1% of people get their money back after a bank has frozen an account. So that is a huge danger by complying with the Corporate Transparency Act. So a suspicious activity report from the bank, or an SAR as they call it, is when some bank employee, could be the wire department, it could be a bank teller, it could be just a customer service person inside the branch. If they see that anything is suspicious or odd, or I love this phrase, it serves no economic, business, or legal purpose, as if they're qualified to make that assumption, as they file a suspicious activity report. Well, in 2022, they filed nationwide 1.8 million reports. This year, we're not even finished with 2023 yet. They've already reported over 2 million SAR, suspicious activity report filings. It's just crazy. They are expecting, experts are saying, that from 2024 on, they expect this rate to drastically increase. But remember, once this Corporate Transparency Act starts, they're going to start freezing accounts. Not just submitting the SAR reports, they're going to start freezing. And oh, by the way, they are not legally required to inform you about anything. There's so much power now in the hands of the banks, and they're working hand in hand with the Federal Crime Enforcement Network. That's what's coming when the Corporate Transparency Act starts coming to effect in 2024 and beyond. If I was you, I would take advantage of the only legal loophole and don't comply.